Hello YouTube, this is Brian Tubbs coming at you with another video. Today I'm going to be talking about some clamps. I bought two new welding fixture tables, and I'm making some clamps, for them to go into the holes on top of the table. So it'll be a pretty quick video. I think I'll shoot this video. I might do it might have to do it in two parts. Well, I'll just show you guys how I'm making the clamps for the table, and then the next video will probably be me putting the table together, or if I can get everything done in a timely manner, I might be able to just do one video. So we'll see. It just depends on how things go. Let me kind of swing you guys around here so you can look at these tables here. And so as you guys probably heard me say, I'm gonna have to get some new welding tables, because these are just your standard Harbor Freight welding tables. They tilt, they have little slots in them for your clamps. Actually they're just stationary, but I cut my legs and I added some metal into them so I can raise the table up and down. It'll go from whatever it is, 30 inches or whatever the heck it is, all the way up to 40. I still have an extension down there. I can have this table up this high if I wanted to. So I just did that to both tables. So when I move one table up, I can move the other and they'll be somewhat level. And they have been decent tables. They're only decent, but for what we do, I have been saying over the last, I don't know how long, I need to get some different tables, some fixture tables. And so I kept putting it off because these were not too bad. But when I made, if you guys remember, when I made the ribbons, these guys, when I had them on here, I was welding it up, but when I needed to separate the portion that looped around from the portion that was the vertical portion from the portion that was looped, I had to have a space between them so I could get in there and weld and whatnot. I had them sitting on here, strapped, clamped to the table, and then I had to put some clamps to spread the metal apart. The loop from the vertical part, had to spread them. When I did that, it caused these cheap little tables to just almost go to nothing. They just raised up in the center and they got tweaked and everything else. And so building two of those loops just basically destroyed these tables. And so I've kind of straightened them out a little bit, but that's not going to do it. They're done. So what I'll do is probably use these tables for when I'm making, like little tabletops that twist and curl anyway. It really won't matter. Or when my wife is, making something, she can use them, because the thing doesn't have to be exactly straight. There are only a few pieces that we make that has to be exactly straight. They can't have any twist to them. And one is that darn reaching. Another one is the large tipping point that I made. Those have to be straight. So there's certain ones that have to be straight. They can't have any twist or anything, or just kind of throw everything off. Well, throw it off for me. The customer, they don't see it. They can't see it. It's just my eye is trained to see little twists. But that's why it's art, because the artists have, room to do however they want to do a piece. And if all the other reachings are straight and I decide to have one twisted slightly, I can do that. It's art. It's supposed to be different. But I wanted to have a table so that when I want a piece straight, I can make it straight. So what I did was I went out, I ordered two 2x3 fixture tables from Prime Weld. They're cast iron. The holes are 5/8, and it weighs, I think each table weighs about close to 200 pounds. So you're going this way, so it'll be 2 feet wide by 6 feet, which is good. Because these tables are like 20 inches wide by 30 inches. So by going, 6 feet, I'll gain a foot here, and then I'll gain like 4 inches, front to back, which is, plenty for what we do. Because normally if I'm going like a 9-foot sculpture, I'm going to have 2 pieces. One piece might be six feet, the other might be 3 or something like that. I never just go with just a long 9-foot piece. If I do, I mean that's fine. I can still do that. That's not a problem. But what I did was, as opposed to going out buying all new clamps, for the fixture table, what I did was I bought the fixture table. I bought 2. I bought a bolt kit that bolts the 2 tables together to keep them flat. I bought from a different company, I bought some stops that goes in the holes to keep the parts from moving. Because before, if I had, as you guys have seen me, I'll have a piece up here flat on the table, then I'll be putting a wall up back here. I would have this portion clamped down to the table, and then I would just be holding this back wall up by hand and just kind of tacking in there. So I bought some stops that would go here, so when I clamp it down, it won't slide forward or back. Bought some of those. I bought some, they call them side clamps. You guys will see all this stuff when I get the table up. I'll kind of explain it to you. And then I bought some, they're called fab squares, where they sit on the table and they go straight up. So when I lay the back, like for example, the back of, the front of reaching, or the sides will be standing upright here, and I'll clamp it to those fab squares or uprights, so that the table won't lean. Because if that back wall is leaning forward a little bit, when I put the top piece on and then put the front on, it's still going to be leaning. I won't be able to see it with my eye because it's so little. But when you weld the piece up and you stand it up, it'll have a little twist to it. So with the clamps and everything I bought for the fixture table, the table won't be able to lean because everything will be locked in, going straight up. So what I'm going to be showing or doing today is just showing you guys how I made these clamps. I'm in the process now of making clamps for it. Like for example, to buy this clamp, one clamp like this on was a Prime Weld, from Prime Weld, was $24 for one clamp like this. For a clamp like this, you can't get some from Prime Weld. You have to go to like other welding places like Trick Tools and places like that. These will set you back should probably, I don't know, 60 some bucks, $100, $150. It just depends on which one you get. And the difference between these clamps And these standard, they call them it's an F clamp. The F clamp has this lower portion that will clamp to the bottom of something of the table, like these Harbor Freight tables. They'll you can either go through the slots in the center, or you can just go right from the edge out here and lock your piece down. With the fixture table, they don't have that option. It has all the holes in it. So what you have to do with a fixture table, you take this, you can see this right here, it goes from this to this. So this sticks into the hole in the table, and then you slide this down on the piece, and it locks the piece in. And then you tighten it down with this portion. So again, buying a piece like this would be pretty expensive. And I mean, to buy one, you might pay, I don't know, I can't remember exactly what the price was, but between like $50 and $100 or more. I would need multiple of these. So I'll probably spend, a couple $1,000s to get what I need of these. So, and then there's another one. This one is, let me see. This is the original right here. And then I converted this to this. So what I did was I took this bottom piece off. I took this off and added this to it. So what this will do is, since I can't clamp under the table because you have the flat surface of the fixture table, but then you have I think it's about 6 inches going vertically on the side of the table all the way around, and it has holes in it. So you have to put your clamps into those holes. I could fixture this under the table, but it wouldn't have much room on top to clamp to anything. So what I did was I cut this off and added this guy to it. So it just slide into the holes on the table. So the difference between the two, so with this clamp, this is going to be just slide onto the table and it fits in. This one, it will slide to the side of the table and be able to clamp down. Or if I'm doing something on the side of the table, I can put this in the top of the table and then clamp whatever it is to the side of the table, whatever I'm working on. So that's the difference. One goes just vertical and one is more horizontal. Now, like I said, I'm kind of forgetting the names. I've dealt with so many different manufacturers and stores and whatnot in the last week or so, trying to get this table and just kind of learn everything. On Prime Weld, their clamp similar to this, I think is might be a 6 or 8 inch from the bottom to the top. It was $24 for one. This clamp came from Harbor Freight. When I bought these last week, they were $4 and probably 20-something cents a piece. So I bought 6. I bought 6 of these, and let me show you. When you buy these, they have this piece on the bottom. This thing is so it sits in here, and the clamp, the top part slides up and down. So when you buy these, it'll look like this. It won't have this bottom portion on it. It'll just look like this. You reach in the bin or off the hook, pull it down, it'll look like that. What I did was, there's a little pin that locks this piece to this. There's a little hole here, and there's a hole here, and this slides up on there, and there's a pin that locks those two together. So when you slide this portion down, they'll clamp whatever you're trying to clamp together. Well, that's fine and dandy, but that won't do me any good with a fixture table. So what I did was I just ground the little tab off, took just a hammer and nail and just knocked that little pin out, just knocked it out. Took my hammer and beat this thing until it came off. And then what I did was welded this piece on. This is 5/8 rod, and then this is two tubes I have, one tube inside the other, and then the 5/8 rod is inside of that, the one inner tube. And the reason I did that is this 5/8 rod will slip down into the hole in the table, and this will stop it from continuing down. This will rest on the table. So I'll take it and just slide it down on the table, and it'll just rest. It'll be in the holes like that. So this piece cost me about, with all material, maybe $5. So this piece was off the shelf, was $4 and I don't know, 20-something cents probably. And this piece, I bought a rod. I'll show you. I bought a 5/8 rod. It was 3 feet long from Elro. It's 5/8 and it's A311 rod. It's pretty smooth rod, pretty durable, machining, like it's machining steel and all that stuff. It didn't matter to me. I just needed a 5/8 solid rod. So I got this. This was $17.95 for 3 feet. Got that. And then I needed for this to be able to slide into the next piece so I could build it up like you saw me. It was built up around this piece. So this 7/8 or this 5/8 will slide into this piece. So this is a 3/8 outside diameter, and I think it's a 049 on the inside. And so the 5/8 just slide right in there. So I did that, and then I already had this piece. I already had this piece right here. This 3/4 piece will slide on the inside of this piece. It will just slide in. It just slide right in. And then this piece goes inside of that. So that's how I was able to build a little section up where this 5/8 piece slid inside, like as you saw. So it's just 3 different pieces of 2 pieces of tube and a solid rod. You don't have to do it like that. That's just how I did it. And it comes out looking like this. So this is the 5/8 rod. Then it has 2 tubes wrapped around it. And I just welded it. I just TIG welded it all together here. Then TIG welded it here just to make it just one solid piece. You don't have to do all that. You can just use a 5/8 rod if you have a 5/8 table. If your table is 5/8, you use a 5/8 rod. And then what I do, I'll just take one of the clamps like this, or one of the other clamps, just set it on there, get it, centered and everything, then I'll just TIG weld it on. Now, one of the keys to buying a fixture table is knowing what you're buying. Because oftentimes people will buy a 5/8 table, a table with 5/8 inch holes bored into it, and they'll go online and start buying a bunch of fixtures, a bunch of clamps and all this other stuff. They'll buy some 5/8 stuff. They'll buy some 16 millimeter stuff. They may even buy some 28 millimeter stuff. Just buying clamps and fixtures because they look at them, they look cool and all this kind of stuff. But if you have a 5/8 hole table and you go out and buy a 16 millimeter, just say you go out and buy a 16 millimeter, clamp or stops, and you bring it back to your shop or your garage, whatever you have, and you're all excited, and you try and put the clamp into the hole in the table, and it won't fit. It won't go in. So you have this 5/8 hole in your table, 16 millimeter clamp, and a 16 millimeter clamp won't go into the hole. And you just ordered, 5 or 6 or 10 of these clamps. And so now you're going to have to send the clamps back to the manufacturer or whomever you bought them from. They might take them back. It just depends on your timing. I say that because oftentimes when I buy something, I'll put it aside because I'm busy doing other things. And 2 or 3 months could go by. Then I'll say, oh, okay, let me go ahead and get this project going. So I'll get the project going. And if I bought 16 millimeter clamps or stops or whatever, put it on my table and don't fit, now the 15 days or the 30 days return period is up. So now you call the place you bought them from online or wherever you got them from, and they'll say, no, your return, period is up. We can't take them back. So now you just spent, $1,000 or whatever it is for clamps and stops and all these other things that goes on your table. So now you're upset. What you can do if you're me and smart people like you can just take it to you take it to a machine shop, or you can cut them down yourself. You can use they won't be perfect, but you can use your belt sander or whatever to take some material off so it'll fit into that hole, but it won't fit, snugly like it should. It should fit fairly snugly. So I'm saying this, so if you buy a 5/8 table, when you go to order your fixtures and your clamps and all that stuff, make sure you're buying 5/8 clamps and fixtures and whatnot. So the prime weld table has 5/8 holes. If you buy a Certiflat table, it's most likely 16 millimeter holes. If you buy the Sigmund, I think it's SEIGMUND, Sigmund tables, they are 16 millimeter or 28 millimeter. If you buy, I think it's like the Texas weld tables, I think that's what they call it, something like that. I think theirs are like 16 and 28, something like that. You have to check to be for sure. But every manufacturer makes their holes differently. I mean, some manufacturers make 16, another makes 16. It just depends. So you really have to be careful and just find out when you're about to order your table what the hole size is, and make note of that, because if it's a 16 millimeter and you buy a 28 or a 3/4, it's not going to fit. But if you buy a 16 millimeter table, you can use 5/8 clamps and whatnot to fit into the 16 hole, because the 5/8 is a little bit smaller than that 16. I think it's like 5 thou under. So you will be able to slide a 5/8 clamp into a 16 millimeter table, but it'll have a little bit of play to it. So you can do that, but you can't go 16 to 5/8 because it won't fit into the holes properly. It won't fit into the holes. So just something to look out for when you're gonna do this. Just know what your hole size is. So I spent a couple hours yesterday buying some fab squares for my table, but Prime Weld doesn't sell them, so I couldn't find anything 5/8. I'm sure they make 5/8, but I was looking for some Certiflat pieces where I can put them together myself, put them together and weld them up myself, because you'll save money like that by doing it like that. But the holes on the Certiflat fab squares are 16. I'm using 3/8, but how we'll be positioning these in there, I don't mind a little bit of play, because I was going to be upright. These will be sliding in. I don't mind a little bit of play, between the two parts. But the bottoms of those fab squares, they just sit flat on your table. So what I can do is just buy some 5/8 bolts with the bearings on them to slide into my holes and lock those squares in, or I can go and buy some 5/8 shoulder bolts, socket head shoulder bolts, and just slide them through the fixture and lock it under my table with a nut. I can just fabricate it however you want to do it. But just a heads up, just know what your table is and what you're ordering. All right, guys. So what I want to do next is just show you guys how I put these things together. So we'll do just a little bit of welding, and I'll just show you guys how I put these onto the clamps. I mean, this is pretty simple. The way I did this is I cut each of these tubes to 1 inch. I just cut 1 inch off on each tube, clean it up a little bit, got the burrs and whatnot off, slid those together, and I cut this solid rod to 2 inches. You don't have to go 2 inches, you can go 1.5 inches, 1 3/4, whatever. I just went 2 inches. So that when I put these two rods together, slide one into the other, I have 1 inch, take this solid rod, slide it in there, I'll have a 4 inch in this tube. Inside of this tube, there's a 1 inch in here, and then I have 1 inch exposed to slide into the holes in the table. So I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. It'll be a lot easier, on you if you can TIG weld it, if you're gonna do it like this. I mean, you can MIG weld it, but you just have a lot of slop from the MIG welds, unless you are pretty good at pointing your gun and you have your heat really hot. But you still might have to do some grinding and whatnot. But with my TIG welding, I really don't have to do any grinding. I could grind, grind some of this smooth, but I don't need to, because I'm gonna set the other piece on top and just weld it in anyway, so it's gonna kind of melt out anyway, so I really don't have to do that. And then the bottom is fairly smooth. It will just slide in the hole and just rest on the table. That's all I want. So I'll just be showing you guys how I put this onto this. That's all. I'll just be showing you guys how to do that. But first, what I'm gonna do is show you guys how I got to this point. So what I'm gonna do is take two clamps that I haven't cut, and I'll show you where I cut, and then I'll cut them, and then we'll go over and take to the table and just kind of weld them up. So I'll just bring you guys in a little bit closer so you can see exactly what I'm doing. And I don't think I mentioned it. I bought these clamps. These came from Harbor Freight. These clamps came from Harbor Freight. Well, this one, well, both of them did, but I just cut this one. I haven't cut this one yet. This is, I bought these probably 2 months ago. I was using them on a project that I was making, and I just took these two and put them away because I was thinking about taking them back to the store after I used them. I said, nah, I'll just go ahead and keep them because I'll need them again when I get my my fixture table. So I just kept them, and I just went ahead and cut this bottom hook off of this one and just put my my fixture tab on it. So I'm gonna be showing you guys how I did that with both pieces. But these clamps from Harbor Freight, they're nice. They're heavy duty. I got these for $27.99. So again, I'll put the price up of a clamp like this from one of the other stores, but they're twice to 3 times as much as you get it from Harbor Freight. All right, let me put this aside. And I forgot, I also bought this type of clamp that I'm going to make. I'm gonna take this off of here, and I'm gonna put a 5/8 piece of rod on here so I can slide this down into my fixture table, and I'll be able to just clamp things on low profile. Like if there's a wall up here, what I've welded the bottom is sitting on the table, I have my back wall up, and I have my top piece on, and I can't get one of the larger clamps in there because the top piece is overhanging. Take these, slide it in, lock it to the table, and lock it down. Now, I got this from Harbor Freight. This is a clamp for your vise. Your vise plate. If you want to clamp some down on your vise, you put this on your vise table, lock it from underneath, and you can clamp whatever down, and you can drill your holes, so the piece won't be moving around. This is really no different from your fixture table clamps you get online for, I don't know, $30, $40, whatever it is. I got these from Harbor Freight for $9.99. And let me show you something else. Well, I can't find them, but I bought 2 more identical to this from Menards for $7.99. So I was gonna take the ones from Harbor Freight back, $2 difference. But I said, man, I've already opened the package, I'll just go ahead and keep it. But from now on, I know, as opposed to going to Harbor Freight for these, I'll just go to Menards and get them for $7 and whatever, $7.99, whatever it is. So again, I'll just be cutting this bolt off, and I'll be welding a 5/8 rod on here, stud, if you will, just slide it to the table and lock down whatever I need to lock down with these. So I'm saving probably a couple $1,000. I'm saving probably a couple $1,000 just making this stuff myself. And the art season has slowed down a little bit. I have a show coming up, I think in a week and a half or whatever. We're still making sculptures and selling sculptures and whatnot, but I have a little bit more time to go ahead and start doing, this kind of stuff. This is what I really love doing, is making stuff like this, doing stuff like this, fabricating little small stuff. I like the sculptures. I love, making the sculptures and whatnot, but this is really what I like doing. I made, like these motorcycles, that used to be what I did often. I made these, I made dogs and cats and flowers and stuff like that. That's what I really love doing. I like small stuff, very intricate and detailed stuff. That's what I really like. Again, the bigs are, you know, they're nice, but just making stuff like this is what I really enjoy. All right, so I'm going to move the camera in after I tell you guys what I'm doing. All right, so to make the vertical one that will sit right on the table, I made a line right here. Hopefully you guys can see it, the red line. That's gonna be my cut line. I'm gonna cut this bottom portion off right here, at that point right there. Then, on the one that's gonna go to the side of the table, I'm gonna cut it off here. The first one I'm cutting off here is gonna be vertical, but this is gonna go on the side of the table and cut off here. Because I wanna weld that stud coming out here, so it'll slide into the side of the table. So I'm just gonna cut it off here. This will be just, you know, excess. And I'm gonna make something out of these two. I just gotta come up with the idea of what I'm gonna make with them. Not throwing them away. I wanna reuse them again. So that's how I'm gonna cut this one. Now, when you guys go and buy these, when you guys go and buy these from Harbor Freight, like I said before, they're going to come with this little piece on the bottom. They're going to come just like that. If you decide to make a clamp like this, if you get a fixture table at some point, I see guys online, they'll have this on there, and as opposed to grinding a little pin down and knocking the pin out and sliding this off, they'll have this on there. It goes up to that first or second hole. They will leave that on and cut above this thing, and they're leaving all this material down here because they either didn't know or don't know how to remove a pin. So by removing the pin, you have about an added inch down here of material. But if you leave the pin on and cut above that pin, you're taking an inch away from your clamp. So now you're just reducing the size of the clamp. Now, you'll notice when you go to buy a clamp for your fixture table, or if you're just going to keep it just regular with the little, you know, loop under here, the longer the clamp, the more money the clamp is going to cost you. So the longer the clamp, the more money it's going to cost you. So by cutting some of your clamp away, you just reduced the value of your clamp, if you will. I could have just went and bought a 8-inch clamp as opposed to buying a 12. So, I mean, just little things like that. So now this clamp is 12. Now I just added an inch here, so now it's a 13-inch in height clamp. When this slides into the table, it's still going to be 13, so I have this added inch up here. So just something to look out for. Don't cut that little bottom portion off. Take your grinder, grind that pin down, knock it out with a hammer, slide it off. Now you have an extra inch and a quarter down here to work with. All right, guys, I'm gonna move you in. I think I've talked enough. Get you guys in a little bit closer to this table so you can see what I'm doing. All right, so here we go, I'm back. So what I'm gonna do is just take this cutoff wheel, Like I said, this is about my 1/16 of an inch cutoff wheel. I could use a plasma cutter, but I figured I'll just go and just make this line, cut it quick. So I'll be using this this cutoff wheel. Now just lay it on here and just follow that my red line as best I can. Down, just kind of grind it down a little bit, kind of smooth. You know, after I cut this one and the next one. But I have my face shield on, I have my gloves on, keep my body out of the way of the sparks, and here we go. All right, so that's the first cut. Let's try and keep my cut wheel as vertical as possible, so when I make that cut, this is not angled left or right. It's fairly straight up. Now I'll take my grinder and just kind of grind it a little bit more flat. I'll grind, there's a slight lip on that front from where it rolled up this way. I'll just knock that down. Don't have to, but I'll just kind of knock that down. And so that's the one that's going to be more vertical. Now, for the one that's I'm be making the more horizontal cut, what I did to not make a mistake, I marked my red line, and then I took my made an arrow pointing to that line, and I kind of took my marker and just kind of, you know, put lines here, let me know that this is what's going to be cut off, not up here, just this right here. All right, so same technique, just kind of following that line. All right, so here we go. And that's how that one looks on that angle. So that bolt will, the rod will come straight off of here and go right into the table. So I'm gonna take my grinder and just kind of clean up just a little bit. Put my face shield on. right, for this one, all right, and there you go. So now, I'll bring you guys over to the table. So we can do a little bit of welding. Okay, guys. So this is kind of the setup. I have it, centered pretty good this way, and then I have it centered, centered this way as well. So both this way and up and down. I put this. This is about an 1/8 inch round disc. That's what it looks like, about like that. I just put that under there just to kind of level things out a little bit, get this up high enough to be almost center of this 5/8 rod. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be close. And so what I'll do is I'll just TIG weld it around here. I'm gonna tack it a couple spots here, flip it over, and then tack it, and just go ahead and run the beads. But I just want you guys let you guys see how it is. And this is the one that will slide into the side of the table. So I don't have this buildup on it. The two pipes. I don't have that on there because it's not necessary. Because if I put this on there 1 inch, then that means this is going to stand away from the table 1 inch extra. But I want this to be able to slide as close to the table as I can get it, so I can, if the piece is over in this section that's vertical, I can slide the clamp over to that portion, or I can slide the clamp, further back. And with this setup, with the hole in the side, I can either have this clamp going straight up, vertical, or I can tilt it to the left, more to the left. I can almost lay it down. So if I have a piece that, has a wall coming like this, I can take that clamp, lay it back, and clamp into that piece to hold that metal together. And I can go this way or that way. It can be vertical. You can go all the way to the left, all the way to the right. So that's what I'm trying to do with this guy. So let me dim the camera just a little bit, and we'll get started. I have my welder set at 100 amps. I'm using 70 ERS 6 3/32 TIG rod. Just kind of burning it in hot, so I can not have to worry about it coming apart. I can go hotter, but not necessary. I'll just do it like this. This is not really structural. It's just I don't want the thing breaking apart. Putting pieces together. All right, here we go. All right, 2 tacks. I'm gonna flip it over. I'm checking for straightness. It moved on me a little bit, but that's to be expected. So what I do when I get this side over here. It's gonna pull it back toward me some. And so it pulled, so I'm gonna just go ahead and weld this whole side up to get it, to pull it back this way. Yep, almost perfectly straight again. All right, I'm gonna put it into the clamp. Well, actually, I'll go ahead and flip it over and weld this side again. All right, here we go. All right, I'm gonna put it into the this vise just to get it more upright. And my goal is just to burn it in hot, just get the pieces melted together good. Just gonna check that, make sure everything is welded up. Keep my fingers away from that heat as much as I can. All right, here we go. Just checking it. Oh, it looks pretty good. Let me bring this next one in, get it set up. And I have all these discs on the table to try and get these things at the right height, right position. Because if this is up a little bit, when I weld the piece on, it's going to come out crooked. So I just got to make sure everything is, fairly level. And I want to get this piece to the center of this piece. I don't want it one-sided. That's one fairly centered. Yeah, that's high. Let's see what I need to do here. Kind of a guessing game. All right, that's fairly even. It's good enough, I think. All right, I'm gonna take it and just flip it over now. Yeah, it looks pretty even, pretty good. It's good enough. And when I say even, I just don't want this pointing up or down or left or right. I just want it fairly straight, as straight as I can get it. All right, here we go. All right, I'll go ahead and flip it back over. Checking for straightness. Looks pretty good. Some people might say I'm destroying a perfectly good, almost brand new clamp, which is cool. But I'm saving $1,000 or more by doing it like this. I think that makes sense to me anyway. Okay, what I'm gonna do now is just put it in the. So what I'm gonna do now is just put it in the vise, so I can get these back edges. This is a Irwin, IRWIN 4-inch vise. I got this one from Lowe's. Been using it for years, never had a problem with it. The only time you have a problem with them is when you get, the only time you have problems with them is when you get debris in the little channel underneath the upper jaws. And it's from like weld spatter and grinding dust. And then sometimes you have a problem with it sliding, not wanting to slide. And then you just clean that out and it's fine again. All right. The last side I need to do. All right, here we go. I want the puddle started 3 seconds or less. If it doesn't start 3 seconds or less, I'm not hot enough, so. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and adjust the light. And this is what it looks like. I'm trying to be careful. Spinning this thing is as hot as anything. But that's what it looks like right there. That's the vertical one, straight up one. And this is the one I'm going to the side of the table. I mean, nothing special or anything. It's just, and that's it. That's going to pretty much do it for this video. But that's how I make clamps for fixturing tables. I mean, there's other videos, you know, out there on YouTube on how they do it, but this is how I do it. So it's going to have to be a part 2. Like when I said in the beginning, I might be able to just have one video, but that would be too long. So it'll be a part 2 of me putting, you know, the welding table together and doing all that kind of stuff. But that's going to do it for this one. I guess I'll call this putting together fixture table clamps. I guess that's what I'll call it. We'll see. But I'll see you guys on the next one. Well, hopefully I'll be closer to putting the table together and all that kind of stuff, and let you guys see what it looks like and all that kind of stuff. These tables are going to have to go away. I'll probably just hang them on the wall somewhere, because I'm going to keep them, because like I said before, I'll be using them, you know, later on for other things, so I won't get rid of them. They've been, you know, good tables for a long time, but it's just time to move on. All right, guys, so that's going to do it, and I will see you on the next one. Well, I'll be, as far as I know, setting up the table, unless something else comes up and I'm doing something else. But as usual, peace out, and I'll see you on the next one.